Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids podcast. Before we get started, of course, I want you to know, we have the Homeschool Yo Kids Expo. Make sure y'all check out our website, check out our schedule. We have 13 expos to go, one down, 13 to go. Um, and we're going to some really cool places this year. So check out our schedule, homeschoolyourkidsexpo.com, coming to a city near you. And big shout out to one of our sponsors, Classical Curriculums. Oh, that's why you should have notes in front of you. But Classical Curriculums, I appreciate you for, helping the journey. And one of our sponsors from last year we have with us, RightStart Math. Kathleen, introduce yourself.
I am Kathleen Cotter Clayton. I am with RightStart Math, and we do math starting from kindergarten all the way up to high school algebra. So we do all that stuff. We lay the foundation and we lay it well.
Nice. How did you get to RightStart Math?
Well, actually, that's kind of an interesting story because Dr. Cotter, who developed this program, is actually my mother.
Oh,
So
nice.
I've known her my whole life. Um, and it's funny when she started it, she actually started it because her son, my brother, was having difficulties in math. And both of my parents are engineers. And Dr. Cotter, coming from engineer, she's got this kid who's really struggling with math. Well, that's ridiculous. There's no reason for this. So she started creating ways to help teach him his math. And she started to create card games. And somebody said, "These are really good games. You should like write these down." And she was like, "What? Okay." And that was actually the beginning of the Right Start Math program. So I was not involved initially. I mean, I was just like, whatever. My brother can't figure anything out. Mom will take care of this. Moving on.
And
And
y'all were in regular school. Y'all were in traditional school, and your mom was just trying to
I
help
was I was
supplement.
in yes, I was in a traditional school. This is back in the mid 70s, early 80s. Homeschooling wasn't really a thing to do. It was, but it wasn't mainstream. So she was not homeschooling us kids, but she did what I did, and that's she taught us the three of us, my sister, myself, and my brother. She taught us before school, so then we
Mm.
went to school and learned additional things, not much. And then after school, she taught us stuff. So I'm kind of homeschooled and kind of not homeschooled, but I did attend traditional school settings, but again, it was more for entertainment. And then I did the same with my kids, but I got kind of out of sequence here. So she started to create the games, she started the program. I was just like, whatever, mom, do your thing, carry on. I started to have babies. She started to need some help with assembly. And so I actually started to do some of the assembly that we still currently do, and then stepped away for about 5 years, did something else. And then at that point, the company was at a point where they needed to make some big changes. So either I came on with the company or they were going to have to pivot and do something else. And I thought, okay, I'll join the company. And that was in 2002. So I had been with the company full time, my second time around, since 2002. So it's one of those deals where I've kind of learned at the master's knee. And then I use this program also with my children before there was the Right Start Math program. So the Right Start Math program came out in 2001. Came out in 2001. I came back in 2002. And at that point, I used some of it with my kids, but I used more the philosophy rather than the Right Start program.
Okay. And what is the philosophy?
Well, we are hands-on, engaging, and we use an abacus to give the children a visual idea of their math. So they're not over there with the symbol 3 and the symbol 2, and then somehow they're supposed to know it's a 5 or a 6. I mean, depending upon, if they're adding or subtracting, or, they kind of figure out, or multiplying, or maybe they're subtracting and then this answer is 1. It's not the symbols, it's the quantity. So you can actually see it and work with it. And then we play card games to practice what we've learned. Because, like, for example, a lot of you have, you may have your spouses or significant others' social security number memorized. What did you do?
Mm.
Did you sit down one day and memorize it? No, you used it over and over and over until pretty soon you had it. Or maybe your kids, or maybe you have a recipe that you have memorized. Again, you didn't sit down and memorize it. You did it over and over and over, the repetition. That's what the card games do, is they provide the repetition so that the children can learn their facts. But more importantly, the games provide a reason for the children to care about their facts, because they don't care about multiplication. I mean, let's be real. Who cares? But if I have an opportunity to beat daddy at a game, sign me up. I am all over that.
Right. Yes, and my girls love learning through games. The youngest one in particular,
Yeah.
she definitely loves learning. Okay, so abacus. Did I say it right?
Abacus.
Abacus.
Abacus. You can
I
also pronounce it
just got
abacus.
introduced abacus.
You can. We
Okay.
pronounce it abacus. Both are correct.
Okay. I think I like abacus better.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep saying abacus.
Abacus. Abacus. Okay.
Yeah.
But I just got introduced to that probably like maybe a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like a month ago. I had never heard of it before.
Mm-hmm.
Like tell more about this abacus, because it wasn't through a podcast. Like I didn't record with anyone. It's
Right.
something
You were just,
outside. Yeah.
well, abacuses have actually been used for hundreds and hundreds of years. We actually have a new book coming out called Start Math Right. And in there, Dr. Cotter talks about all the different abacuses. Most traditionally, people are familiar with the Chinese abacus or the Japanese abacus. There's also a Russian abacus, there's a Slavonic abacus, there's all these different abacuses that are available. An abacus, by definition, is beads on a frame. It does not tell you what value they have or how to use it, because they vary greatly. Ours is one that Dr. Cotter, by the way, just want to clarify real quick. Dr. Cotter is my mom. I do refer to her professionally as Dr. Cotter or Joan, because it's just not the same if I say, well, my mom says so.
Right. I know. Well, I caught it. Like I caught the Dr.
Yes.
Cotter from,
But I just
but
wanted to
it is
explain if
funny,
everyone's
yes.
thinking, well,
Well,
wasn't that your mom? Why did you
my
call her
mom
Dr. Cotter?
said,
That makes
yes,
no sense. Yes.
yes.
So anyhow, but Dr. Cotter's abacus, the Cotter abacus, cleverly named, is actually a derivative of the Montessori bead frame, which is another type of abacus. And Dr. Cotter is a trained Montessorian. And so she, got her Montessori education. She started a school. They moved, and then she started teaching in another school. And she said, this Montessori math, I mean, this is good, but I think there's ways to make it better. And so she adapted what was there, and over about 10 years, it sounds like really that took that long to figure it out, but over 10 years, she ended up developing it to where we see it today. So what we have today is we have an abacus that gives one side has beads, has 100 beads. They're grouped into fives and tens. So you can see quickly that you got 100 on there if I enter it. Side two, and I've actually got one in front of me, so if you hear the noise, that's the beads going back and forth. Side two actually has the different wires have different values. So we've got ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So we can actually show the child what the numbers are up to 20,000. And so they get a feel for how much is 100. Oh, that's a lot of beads. How much would 10, or excuse me, let's go with like 1,000. How many beads would that be? So it kind of gives the children a feel for the quantities. Instead of 1,000 just being 1,000, it's a lot of beads.
Okay, because
it's different.
It's very different, but what I saw really kind of blew my mind, Kathleen. Like the kids were speeding through. Like she showed a video, and I wish I could tell you what company this was, so I could shout her out, but I don't remember it offhand. But either way, she showed a video, and the kids were doing like, she would give like 42 plus 73 plus, like, give a whole long math problem, and the kids would just do the little, mess with the beads and boom. Yes. Yep. And it was like, oh my God.
That was probably a Japanese abacus.
Okay.
Chinese and Japanese are actually very similar. I know how to use them both. I prefer the Japanese. I'm a little bit more confident with the Japanese, but the Chinese has some options that the Japanese doesn't. But yes, when you get very good at that, you can just and poof, you've got the answer.
Yes.
Our abacus is more of a learning tool. It's
Okay.
not a calculator like the Chinese and Japanese. It's more of a learning tool so that I learn what this means, how to do it, because we don't want the kids taking the abacus off to college. Rather they're going to get an idea as to what does it mean? What's the difference between 3 and 30 and 300? And we're going to show that how there's differences. And again, it's not just a 0, and a 300. It's a different quantities. And that's what the abacus does, is shows the quantities and how to work with them.
Okay. So Dr. Cotter, she did this while working as an engineer, or she also had a field, like some kind of educational background? Because you said this was just to help your brother. Like she literally
Right.
just started this to help your brother. So that's very
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Did she have an educational background?
Well, she does, and it's very
Okay.
interesting. She started out with she actually homeschooled herself. I'm going to go way back because
Okay.
her history is so interesting. She actually had some medical stuff as a teenager and ended up being bedridden for, I think it was 9 months. And so during that time, and this was, way back in the beginning of time, she had to do her homework and then she'd mail it in and they'd mail it back to her
Oh
because, again,
wow.
she was bedridden. So she learned how to teach herself. So basically, she homeschooled herself for a year. So that was kind of the beginning. Then she went into engineering and she went into electrical engineering because it needed the most math, which most people are like, really? But
Right,
she
exactly.
loved math and she loved the learning. So she went into engineering, ended up getting married, having kids, was a stay-home mom for, I don't even know how many years, probably 10-ish years, maybe somewhere in there, 8 years, somewhere in there. And then she went on because she was always interested in education. Then she started her Montessori training. And so she went, I think it was 2 years, where every day she drove into class and came back home. And, it was kind of a tough time on our family, but it was also a real good time because she was learning and we, the children, got to see what it looks like, how much dedication it takes to see somebody learn. So that was kind of
Mhm.
an interesting time. But anyhow, so she got her Montessori diploma and then started her work. Again, they started a school, they moved, taught in another school. This is what I'm going to start to change. Started to do the games with my brother. So she's kind of playing around with teaching math. She decided to go back and get her master's in curriculum instruction. And
Mm.
then she taught grade 6, 7, and 8. And that was a very exciting time. That was also a very difficult time because that's where she said, these guys are idiots. Not because they're stupid, but you can't be doing higher level math if you don't have your basics.
Yeah.
So she was like, okay, what I'm doing is right. I'm on the right page with what I'm doing and how I'm doing things with the abacus and the card games. So she went back to school again and got her PhD in mathematics, in mathematics education. And out
Okay.
of her doctoral dissertation came the RightStart Math program. She didn't
Mm.
really mean to write a program. She was just doing it for her doctoral dissertation. But the school that was using the program, and they, by the way, scored twice as high as the control group. So they did very, very well. They said, this is so good. We want more. And she was like, okay. So then she wrote second grade and kindergarten and third grade and fourth grade, stopped. And then she did kind of a middle school, stopped for a little bit. And then at that point, now at this point, I've come in and we went back in and did a second edition of Right Start Math because she changed the way that she taught some things, particularly multiplication, with the second edition. And that's what most people are familiar with now, is the second edition. So
Okay.
yes, she does have an education background, and it's just amazing the things that she's constantly doing. She and I had an opportunity 2.5 years ago to speak in Cambridge, England, at I'm just trying to think here. Cambridge University. There we go. Cambridge, England, but Cambridge University at a math conference. And
Right.
then this last summer, I spoke. Dr. Cotter decided she didn't want to go on this one, but myself and another person spoke in Italy at the same conference. So we speak around the US and around the world with what we're doing.
Yeah. So you have an educational background?
I don't. I'm an odd
Okay.
one. I've got just kind of an eclectic group of things, but I've been doing this for about 25 years now.
Mhm.
So I don't have an education background, but that's what I do.
No, no worries.
Yeah.
Because you went to school. So with you
Yeah.
having gone to school, how helpful would these resources have been had you had
Oh,
underwent?
amazing. And actually, it's funny because I was taught very traditionally, probably the same way you were. You just
Mhm.
memorize it. Don't give me any grief. And like I always say, when you memorize things, when you just have just sheer memorization, I usually kind of kiddingly and sadly, truthfully, say that if we don't kill our kids off in multiplication, we kill them off in fractions. And
Mm.
I got killed off in multiplication. And now, because of the abacus, because of the way I taught my children, the way I teach other people, I now, well, I actually struggled with my addition facts too, but whatever. But I didn't do six, sevens, and eights. Thank you. I got nine. Um, but six, sevens, and eights, I now have no problems adding and subtracting. And my multiplication is almost there. If somebody yells at me like, what's six times eight? I don't know. But if I can calm down and think it out, I'm like, okay. And actually, the way I do it is six times eight. I honestly don't know the answer, but I know three times eight is 24.
Yeah.
And then I double it to 48. So if I calm down enough, I can think it through. But again, if a child or an adult doesn't have
Mm.
good number sense, they don't understand what the numbers mean, you can't do what I just did. And some of you are going,
Indeed.
I still don't know what she did. But
I
yeah. But if you know what the numbers mean and how it works, then it starts to work out. Well, why do you want to take and have to redo things? Why not just teach them right from the start, which is what we do?
indeed. Right start.
Yeah.
Um I like that. So you talk about educating your children. Were your
Yes.
children in traditional school?
They were kind of half homeschooled, half not schooled. We live in a very rural area. And for those of you who are, tuning in, Jay and I were talking before we started this. I live in North
Yes.
Dakota. It is
Crazy.
cold here today. It's actually was 25
No, no, wait, hold
below.
on. Wait, because you said cold. I wish you
Yes.
would use cold to describe 25 below. That
Yeah,
is
25 below is, yeah, that's pretty cold. And then we have the wind chill, which brought it to 38 below. So it was pretty nippy this morning. I
that's
actually wore a
Arctic.
coat.
You're using the wrong adjectives. This is bothering me. Okay, that's freezing. That's
That is
Arctic.
freezing. Yes.
That is
But
something like a
anyhow,
blizzard. Oh my
yes.
gosh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, so I live in North Dakota and we live in a very small town. We live in a town of 200 people.
Mm,
That's it. I know, I know. It's like, so you can like stand on Main Street and just yell, where's Kathleen? And they'll point, oh, she's over there. I mean, it's that small.
I
Um,
love it.
so my kids went to the public school, but I taught them before school and after school. So like my kids all learned to read before they went to kindergarten. I kept ahead of the teacher in math till about fourth grade.
Mm.
And at that point, I just kind of let them take over and I'd stop, step in if there was a problem. Because like my son's class was a class of three kids.
How
My
old?
Pardon me?
What age was that
Oh,
with
well,
his
that was
class of three?
kindergarten through seventh. They got more
What,
kids as
he
they
had the
went.
same three students? Like he had the
Yeah,
same three. Are they best friends? Were they like like
yes.
how did
There
that?
was actually the best kids. I don't remember right now who the original three were. I could figure it out, but I know there was a kid that came in second grade that is still Matthew's favorite friend. I mean, he's still best friends.
Okay,
But
can you
yeah, so
say
they've
that
been
again
best
though?
friends since second
Matthew
grade.
Matthew had three kids in his class
Yes.
from kindergarten to seventh grade.
Somewhere in there, yeah. And they got a few more kids as they went along, but I don't remember when the other came in. Like I said, I remember Andrew, his friend, came in second grade. So
That is so
my
wild.
other, I have another, yeah, the next one up, Megan, she had 11, no, she had 7 kids in her class. There were 2 girls, 5 boys, and they didn't get another girl. So it was the 2 girls until 5th grade. And then in 7th grade, they got another girl. That's
How
it.
was that?
Well, like I would tell my kids, especially when they got older, I know everything. I know everybody. So if there's a situation, I am going to find out.
Right?
You might want to tell me before I find out on my own because then we can deal with it. But if I find out on my own and you didn't tell me whatever it was, we have a problem. But
Right.
it's nice. It's nice being in a small school. If I would have been in a bigger area, I absolutely would have homeschooled because I kind of did homeschool. They just kind of went to school for entertainment.
Yes. And
And it was, yeah, it was a very, very good environment. Very, very, I'm very pleased that my kids went to that school. So,
that is wild. I've
yeah,
never. So was it considered a public school?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah,
That
I know.
is so wild.
Yeah, I know. It's just like poof, what?
Right?
Yeah,
Like they have those like that size? Because
yeah.
that's crazy.
One of
But
my oldest daughter, Anna Renee, she graduated from a class of 21, and that was the biggest class that they had had in years. Yeah,
I
they'd
can't
had,
just imagine like falling out with someone in these class sizes, like
yeah,
not like the having the issue. I would just think that everyone would be so close and tight
they
knit,
are.
like
Yeah,
everyone, all
yeah,
200 of your of your town
yeah,
members, like y'all
yeah.
have to all just be a big family.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. And that's why I was able to have homeschool and have school. There was one time when Matthew in 4th grade was having difficulties with his fractions. And I called the teacher up and I said, okay, Matthew's struggling right now. I said, I'd like him to be pulled out of math class. I don't really care what you do with him. Let him go read a book or, do something, whatever. I said, and you can have him back in 2 weeks. And so I caught him
Nice.
back up and they can do that. But when you've got 4 kids in a very small school, you have the ability of being able to manage things. I mean,
Yeah.
if they annoy me, I pull my kids, we lose a percent of population. So I always won. It was great.
So was it the same teacher following these kids
No, no,
or
no,
okay?
no. They were different classes. Matthew's class, the class of 3, they ended up joining with, I think it was the older class. So they were always a split class. So they were 3rd, 4th grade, 4th, 5th grade, 5th, 6th
Okay.
grade.
Oh
Yeah, until they
wow.
got enough kids to kind of be on their own.
That
Yeah.
is so interesting. So you when you had to pull them out for the math, you caught them up with Right Start.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Nice. I think fractions isn't my thing either. Like when you said that you lose a child through multiplication or fractions,
Yep.
I know fractions lost me.
Yep.
And then after that it was we're not even math is
Right.
yeah, if I can't use a calculator for it, don't ask me. I don't like math questions. My students used to ask me to help them with their math work, and I said, "Oh, get that out of here. I don't want to look at it because I
Right.
just math."
You know what's really interesting, Jay, is other cultures, like if you take the Asian cultures, Chinese, Japanese cultures, they let me back up. In our culture, we are very comfortable saying, I'm not good at math. Everyone does
Mm.
it. But you would never say, I'm not good at reading, right? If I wasn't good at
Yeah,
reading,
no, they say it. They say it, and
some do.
they're proven. Yes,
Okay.
yes. I
Because
have a
most people as adults, I wouldn't come on most people on a podcast and say, well, I'm not really very good at reading. I don't read, Now people might say I don't read much. That's acceptable, but it's not really that acceptable or heard when you say, yeah, I'm not very good at reading.
I
We
think
we don't
more
really
people
say
should
that.
speak on it though, because I
Oh,
feel like
absolutely.
illiteracy is higher than not knowing math facts.
Exactly, because we hide it. I'm not good in math. I'm not going to, or not, excuse me, I'm not good in reading. I'm not going to tell people. So you do
Yeah.
have the illiteracy. I actually met a gentleman one time. He was an engineer. So he's been through 4 years of college, pretty high level stuff. He did not know how to read until he was out of college. He had just listened very, very well and memorized things that way. And I thought, wow. But again, people in our culture don't say, I'm not good in reading or I don't read. I don't know how to read.
Yeah.
but we're very comfortable saying, I'm not good in math.
You're
Now,
absolutely correct. Yeah.
you go to the Asian cultures, they would never say they're not good in math, just like we would never say I'm not good in reading,
Mm.
which I
Why
think
do
is
you think?
really
Why?
interesting.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think it's just their perspective of it. They think that math and reading takes hard work, but you can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Us, and part of it is the way we've done things, the way we've been taught, the way our culture is. There's multiple reasons, but we don't have a good way of doing things. And then you add in
Mm.
all the math anxiety that we put in place because of, let's do the drills. You got the timesheets. You got 3 minutes to get this done. Let's do the flashcards. I mean, even thinking about that starts to make me hyperventilate because that's how I was taught. And so
Mm.
I can't do it. I'm not good. I'm not doing it.
I
But now
feel like
that,
my issues with math are teacher based. I could remember my 8th grade math teacher, Miss Johnson. She was so mean. Oh my gosh, she was so mean.
yes,
And I feel like that's where I kind of lost it. And then my 10th grade geometry teacher, Miss McCord, and the fact I can roll these off, and this
yeah,
is what, however
right,
many years later.
right.
Yeah, they definitely did a number on me as far as the teaching goes, because I really
Well,
struggled with math. And
and
so it was like, oh no.
right. Well, there's actually research on this that what you learn and the emotions that you're feeling at the time that you are learning, even if it's unrelated to the topic, if the feelings that you have at that time are they will link to the topic. For example, my sister is a world-class unicyclist, the one wheel thing.
That's
And
wild.
she holds, I don't know if she still holds it, but she did hold the woman on the tallest unicycle. I think it was like 22 feet or something ridiculous. Anyhow, when she was doing it and breaking the world record, my mom was there. But my mom had just found out that her dad had passed away.
Mm,
So anytime anyone mentions my sister holding the world record, my mom has
that
this
is what caught
negative
you.
feeling. Oh, dad died. Same thing happens to kids, where if we've got, your awful 8th grade teacher, your 10th grade teacher, maybe even someone who says you're going to learn your multiplication facts or you're going to fail class. What does the kid have? They've got this feeling of anxiety, and
Mhm.
somehow we're supposed to want them to like math. It doesn't
Yeah,
work. I'm carrying around this basket full of angst and worry and anxiety and I can't feel my fingers because I've got so much adrenaline going through my body thinking about it.
yeah.
That's what happens when you have that. That's why the games are so important because the games, we're sitting down and we're playing a game. Like, remember the game of war? You lay down two
Mm,
cards, whoever has the higher one takes it. Let's each of us lay down two cards. And if we're little, let's add them up. So I might
mm,
have 8 and 5, which happens to be 13, and you have 6 and 9, 6 and 9, so it'd be 15. So then you're going to take all four cards.
yeah, I'm gonna do that with my 8-year-old. She
Right.
loves
And
war.
right. And the thing is it's very simple. And now I'm over there going, okay, I need to know my addition facts because I'm going to play this game and I'm going to beat mommy.
Hmm.
Excellent. So what feelings do we have now? It's like, yeah, I'm doing math, whatever. But oh my gosh, this game is so much fun. And they're having
Yeah,
fun with it. And the joy and the happiness and the comfort is now in place.
yes.
That's why you need the games. The games, like in the RightStart Math program, the games are not a reward. Hey, you did all your homework, you had to play a game. No, your games are the
Are
homework. That
mhm.
is the practice.
Nice. Yeah, no, I love the game method as far as I feel like that's what we've been doing until they got to multiplication, of course. But prior to, we would play Monopoly.
Yep.
Um,
You've got a
what else?
reason to learn it.
Yes, we were, just
Yeah.
playing get life, just things that
Yep.
will require them to add and subtract, or even just rolling the dice and
Right.
having to add those two numbers together. It was just something that gets them thinking, and it's in a fun nature like that.
Right.
My 8-year-old loves playing games, loves playing games.
Right.
So it's like, okay,
And
let's
if
do that.
you've got,
Oh, Play 9. Have you played Play 9?
I've
Have you heard
not.
of that one?
I have
Oh,
not.
that was a good one. It's like,
Um,
yeah, that's definitely, and they argue about who's gonna take score.
yeah. Oh,
And
how
I love
fun.
that. Yeah. But that's a
Or
great
even
game.
even like you said with Monopoly, being the banker. I have to
Yes.
make change,
Yes.
and I'm not practicing making change. I'm playing Monopoly. And when
Hmm.
you've got a pile of kids, and even with your 11 and 8-year-old, what you can do is whenever the 8-year-old's playing a game, maybe working on their addition facts, the 11-year-old can play with the 8-year-old. The 11-year-old is reinforcing, the little one is learning.
Hmm.
And when dad comes home or grandma comes over or grandpa comes over, have them play the games with the kids. Because again, what power, especially for the sons, to play it, to show daddy how to play a game or show grandpa how to play a game and then beat him. That's
Right.
what we want, is we want that joy, that usefulness, the part of my life coming in with math, not just like, ugh, math, 4-letter word, put it in a closet, quick, quick. It's
I
something that's
know.
fun. It's something that's joyous, something that's part of the family.
Yes, and it goes hand in hand with cooking.
Yep.
Both of them love to cook, so I have them when
Yep.
they do the cooking. It's like, okay, you're in your own kind of like I let them read the directions, get the measuring
Yep.
cup. They're doing all the measurements, and I definitely prefer that learning fractions that way over, just book work.
Well,
Um,
even things like a fourth, the other name for a fourth is a quarter, right? How many quarters are in a dollar?
or
Four, because there's 4 fourths in a whole. This one blew my mind, and we will not discuss how old I was when I figured this out. Quarts. How many quarts are in a gallon?
how
I
many
have
quarts?
no idea.
Four.
Okay, well, it is 4. Well, I had no idea. I had to Google it. That's why
Okay,
we have Google. Let's use it. But quart, remember, quart is a fourth.
quarter. Yes.
So 4 quarts, 4 fourths in a gallon. Ah,
I know. I didn't
did
think
not
about
know
that.
that. And some
Yeah.
of you, probably your listeners right now, are going, "Wait, what?" Yeah,
Right? Yeah,
yeah.
no, because I didn't know that. I just, that's a
You
fact.
just had it
Just
memorized.
yeah, just
Yeah,
memorized.
yeah. But
Yeah.
now that you know the whys, and see, that's what Right Start Math does, is we give you the whys behind it, not just memorize it. 4 quarts in a gallon because I said so. No, it's quart is a quarter. Quarter is a fourth. 4 fourths in a whole. 4 quarts in a gallon. Oh, now I'll never forget it.
Right. So what is your relationship with math?
I love math. Love math.
Mm.
It's actually interesting because I'm actually not good in arithmetic. Like I said, I've got my addition down. I'm kind of proud of myself. Subtraction, I got. But multiplication and division,
Mm.
especially when we get into the 6, 7s, and 8s. So I'm not that good in arithmetic, but I am really good in math. There's actually 200 branches of math. So you can be, I know, so you can actually be bad in arithmetic and really good in math. Like statistics,
Mm.
oh, that is candy. I love that.
What?
It's,
I had to take that twice in college. That's
oh,
crazy.
I loved it. I used to actually, in college, I'd save my statistics homework because it was the best. It was my reward for getting all my other homework done. I loved it. Um, so yeah, so there's statistics, there's fractals, which are really, really pretty. There's actually something called recreational math.
For
Really? I mean,
fun?
most people are like,
Like
you can
that's
put those
fun?
two words together.
Yeah, right.
There's algebra, which actually I thought was yummy. Geometry, I did not like. But there's
Mm.
there's trigonometry, there's all these different kinds of math. Again, there's 200 branches. So you can be bad in one or three or 10, and you can still be really, really good in math.
Mm. I like that. I like that.
Just the funnest. It's just neat how all the patterns and everything work out.
Indeed. Why y'all? You froze. Come back, possibly.
Okay, I'll enter. There we go.
Okay,
I
there we
need you to
go.
repeat like the last paragraph. I
Okay. No, I
tapped
was
out.
saying you froze. You were talking and you froze. So, but you were talking about
Okay.
the math and the 200 branches and how you can be good at about 10 of those and still consider yourself to be good at math because you don't have to be good in all of them. And I'm receiving all of this because I have a sister who tells me all the time like, Jay, you talk about not liking math or you talk about like not liking numbers, but you do it all the time. Like you use numbers all the time and you add them up quickly all the time. And I'm like, yeah, but that's different. Like I'm always like, that's different.
But
Because
it
it
is the same thing. It's still, it's, oops, I'm losing you again here,
I know,
Jay.
I don't know
I
if that's
turned off
my
my video to see if that makes a difference.
yeah, you're okay.
Maybe you turn your video off too, and maybe that'll help the bandwidth. Okay, so anyhow, we were saying, yep. So your sister was saying that you have that you're very good at adding things up. And part of that is because you probably have number sense,
Indeed, definitely.
which is huge.
And like I yeah, I do add numbers up like all the time actually. But I look up for angel numbers and I look for like synchronicities and things like that. So that's what gets me to being into numbers that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's different than necessarily like seeing, problems. Like, first of all, you call them problems. I, that's the first thing. Like, oh my gosh, all these problems on this paper. You want me to give you a solution for all of them? Like all these problems. And so
Right.
seeing them and being referenced as problems, I think that may be a disconnect or a trigger of anxiety. So
I think
yeah,
it's actually having all of them on the page. So when
that
my
too.
kids were young and that overwhelmed them and they, had to do a worksheet, something that they had gotten. I mean, RightStart, we don't have the pages and pages, until you get a little bit older. But when my kids were young, what I would do is I would put something over them so they'd only see one line. Maybe there's three problems. Move it
Yes.
down, three more. Move it down, three more. So it's not this, I have to do 48 of them. No, you're
Right.
just doing three. You're just doing three. You're just doing three. So find a way that fits with the kids so that they're not overwhelmed.
Indeed. I don't think my girls like they don't necessarily favor it per se, but I feel like my youngest likes to get it out the way depending on what they're doing. Like they have a money and time book that I've had them working out of every now and then, but they only do math maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, as opposed to the reading and writing that they do Monday through
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. But they're both doing multiplication facts at the same time. They're 8 and 11. So I don't feel like that, that's
Mm-hmm.
a big age gap where they should be on different levels in that regard. I know my 11-year-old, of course, is more comfortable with them, whereas my 8-year-old is still getting a grasp as far as trying to memorize. But I don't know. Mhm.
Well, I was just gonna say we don't see it so much as memorize as they are known.
Okay.
So it's kind of the same thing. Like I'm trying to think of like my license plate on my car. I didn't memorize it. I just had to use it enough that I now have it memorized in quotation. I know it. I know what it is because I've
Right.
used it enough. So it's more of a use thing and a familiarity rather than memorized. Because if you just sheer memorize something and then you never use it,
You
it
lose
doesn't
it, right?
really, I mean, so what? Who cares? I can memorize it, but then, give me 2 weeks and it's gone again. I don't remember it. Um, One other thing and no passing judgment on anybody, but in my opinion, as a mom of four and now grandparent of six, I think that reading, math, and morals are the
Mm,
three most important things that we can teach our children. Reading, well, obvious. If you've got reading, the world is yours. If you've got math, all the sciences are yours, whatever you do
mm,
with it. Because there's nothing sadder than a child saying, well, I want to be a veterinarian, but I'm not good at my math. oh honey, you know, come on, we can do this. You're going to be a phenomenal veterinarian or whatever it is. And then there's nothing worse than having a child who's brilliant, math, reading, and then of course everything, they've got their hands on everything, and they have no morals to guide them.
Mm,
However
mm.
you want to identify morals within your family, but you have to know right from wrong. So to me, morals, math, and reading are the three most important things we can teach our children. Because if we've
I
got,
like that.
the world is theirs.
Yes. I of course place big emphasis on reading because like you said, the world
Absolutely.
is like
Yep.
that's the gateway to me. And then math, I feel like the basics are needed and then you can grow from the basics,
Yep.
learning the foundation as far as the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Then you go
Yep.
on to apply those to algebra and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Um, and the morals, honey, I was, I did an assignment when I was teaching 10th grade and it was a moral based assignment. And I was giving kids in the 10th grade the definition of morals. So um I totally agree with you on that
Yeah.
as far as where we are and just the need for I feel morals encompasses having compassion and empathy for others.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes, depending upon where you are with your religious stance or not stance, I mean, is it the religious component? Is it, like you said, the compassion? Is it right from wrong? Is it, what would you do if? It's all those things. I mean, if you've got morals, all the things that we struggle with, all the bullying, all the, this cheating and stealing, that's all
Mm-hmm.
squared away. And the
Indeed.
reading, like you said, that gives you the world. And to me, math puts the wheels underneath you.
Yes,
That lets
ma'am.
you go places, wherever it
Yes,
is that you
ma'am.
want to go.
Yeah, because you don't want nobody counting out your money. That's how I explain this to my girls. Like, hey,
Well,
you want to be getting the wrong change? Like, you better know how much they owe you.
yeah.
Because
Well, even things like sometimes I hear people say, "Oh, my child or I am just going to be an artist." Okay, that's cool. But if you sell your painting for this much, and let's just say you've gotten really good and you're starting to sell paintings, and you now have a manager, you need to know enough that's going on so that you can make sure they're not swindling you.
yes,
Or that,
ma'am.
is it best to do five of these or two of those that sell more? How do I do it? I mean, it's amazing when looking at our company here with RightStart Math, how often we make math decisions. Even
Yeah.
things like, okay, if we're borrowing money at 10%, let's just say, and I've got a sale at 5%, do I want to do that? No, because I'm like, it's going to cost me 5% more to borrow the money to pay for whatever the item is. Now, if they're having a 30% sale and it costs me 10% to borrow the money, duh, sign me up.
Yeah.
So it's not just the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. It's the logic of how you apply it. That's what math is magic. Math is really just logic and working things out. It's
It
math
really
when you
is.
figure out, if I want to go down to visit you, Jay, where it's a lot warmer than it is here,
Mm-hmm.
how long will it take me to get there? Okay, well, I know I need to, let's just say, whatever, how many hours, but I know I need to stop here. I got to fill up and I got to stop here, stop. That's math.
Yes.
It's the calculations, but it's also the logic. I can't just say, oh, Google says it's going to take me 20 hours. It's not just 20 hours. You have to sleep. Put the logic in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, because we do a lot of traveling. So even my girls, like we talk about the mile markers and talk about how it basically take you about a minute to reach each one, and then they'll get to
Mhm.
calculating, like, okay, well, if it's 50 miles left in the, till we get here, that's 50 minutes. And you don't think about math being on the logic basis, but with time and money and all that being
Yes.
factored into math, it is really a bunch of logic. It really
Right.
is.
Right. There's actually a funny one going on right now. Not getting political, but I don't want to go there. But they're talking now about not having the pennies any longer because it takes. I first heard 2 cents. Now I've heard 3 or 4 cents to make one penny. Well,
Mm.
where's the logic in, let's just say it's 4 cents to make 1 penny? There's no logic in there. Come on, use it's not even a calculation. It's logic. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what's missing a lot of the times is the logic.
Indeed. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And that's what Right
But I
Start
think
Math
that
does.
comes with comprehension.
Yes, yes. And that's what Right Start Math does is we build on that knowledge, the logic, the application, and how to use it. So it's
Yeah.
not just a case of memorize 8 times 6, moving on. It's how can we figure it out? How can I do this? How can I do it better?
So is Right Start, is it more tool based or is it a program? Is it like a like curriculum wise where parents are able to receive lessons, I guess you could say. Is it something
Yes.
like that, or is it more tool based where you have the games and you have the car, maybe flashcards or the abacus, did I say it right?
Abacus. Yep.
Yes.
Abacus. Yep.
Um, is it tool based or is it all encompassing? It like whatever you would need or think about needing for math, you all provide it.
Very good question. The answer is yes. Okay, what? Yes, it is a full curriculum. So everything that needs to be taught in math from kindergarten or a young kindergarten or whatever, child who's just starting, all the way up to high school math, we have it all for you. You, the parent, you would get level, whatever you need, A, B, C, D. You're going to get your level, like level B is going to be kind of for a first grade child who's been through kindergarten. By the time they're done with it, they're adding 2-digit and 4-digit numbers with caring in level B. Level
Okay.
D will do multiplication. Level G and H are the middle school curriculum. So it is a full curriculum. Now,
Okay.
some people don't want a full curriculum, or maybe they're committed to another curriculum. We have pieces like the card games. You can use them with any program. I don't care what program you're using. You can use those card games. You can take the abacus and weave it into your program. If you have another one that you're committed to or you want to continue with, you can weave pieces in. Sometimes we have kids, and we actually started this probably about 5 years ago now. We have kids where they're just struggling. Let's just, I'm going to pick on your 11-year-old here. Let's just say your 11-year-old, who is fine, but let's just say we're like, oh, I can't add. I can't do it. I'm not going to take your 11-year-old and put him back in level B. We don't have time for this. We don't have time for her to catch up. So we have now a newer series called RightStart Tutoring.
Mm.
And what we did with that is we pulled out everything on addition and subtraction and put it in the RightStart Tutoring number sense book. So they learn about the numbers, how to add and subtract them. And it's 50 lessons with no
Mhm.
worksheets, because an 11-year-old child has already been worksheeted to death. They didn't get it the first 43 times. They're not going to get it the 44th time. So we change it up. We use the abacus. We show them how to do it. No worksheets, play games, 50 lessons, and done. If they're still older, and again, your 11-year-old, I probably would go and put in like level D then. If they're done with the Right Start Tutoring number sense, I'd go into level D, which does multiplication. Or maybe let's just say that you have a 14-year-old or 12-year-old, 13-year-old. We need to work on multiplication. So we have Right Start Tutoring, Multiplication Division Book 1, which will do 1
Mhm.
times 1 to 10 times 10, and then division from 100 down, including remainders. And then there's Right Start Tutoring, Multiplication Division Book 2 that does multi-digit multiplication, like a 4-digit times a 2-digit, short division, and long division. And then I'll try putting my video on too here. And then there's also a Right Start Tutoring Fractions book. So again, to help the kids who are struggling with it. So it really depends upon what you need. You want a full curriculum? Right Start Math. You need to catch an older child up to where they need to be? Right Start Tutoring. You like what you're doing and you don't want to change it, then you can bring in the games and the abacus. So
Nice.
the answer is yes. We can fit it.
Y'all, everything.
Yes.
As far as
Yeah.
the curriculum go, how long does it take to get through like a set curriculum for, okay, let me back up on that question. Is your curriculum, and I feel like you may have already answered it, is it age-based or grade-based?
It's task-based.
Oh,
Because
okay.
I don't really care what grade they're in. I don't care how old they're in, how old they are. I want to know where are they with their math. So
Gotcha.
I would ask your 11-year-old, can your 11-year-old do addition, subtraction? Yes. Multiplication, working on it. That might be level D, or no, she's working on it. She's good with it. We need a little bit of, refresh, but she's got it. Then I might put her in level E. So I don't
Mm,
really care, again, how old she is or what grade she's in. I want to know where's her math brain and her math knowledge.
okay,
So
and
let's just
it's
take
based
your
off levels.
exactly, and that's why it's levels. So your 8-year-old might be in level D because if you're working on multiplication, maybe you keep the two kids together, maybe you separate them for whatever reasons. The parents know best. We do have multiplication. We do have a placement test on our website, and you can always call our customer service people and say, okay, I did the test, but I got some questions. We'll help you walk through what to do it. One question that I like to ask, especially if I've got a child who's kind of border between two levels, is do they like math? Because if they like math, they're willing to go ahead and work a little bit. So let's push them up a little bit. If they really hate math, I mean, ugh, then I'm going to back them down so that they're working in a level that's a little bit easier, kind of like putting them in the shallow end of the pool. Okay, we're going to splash around, we're going to get our face wet, we're going to practice doing this, you can swim. I'm not throwing them in the deep end of the pool and say, well, swim, good luck.
Hope make it.
Yeah. Hope you don't drown. So there's so many variables that go in with it and where to put it. But basically, again, we look at what the child's abilities are and then address from there.
Okay. Okay, cool. And the levels, how long do they take to get through?
Good question. The RightStart Math, each level is intended to be one school year. So
Okay.
like you, if you're doing it 3 days a week, hopefully year round, it'll take you one full year to do it.
Okay.
With RightStart Math, if you teach 4 days a week and start at Labor Day and finish at Memorial Day, you can do that at 4
Okay.
days a week. So that gives you that 5th day for doctor
September
appointments or
till
whatever's. Right.
end of May. Memorial
Right.
Day, end of May,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So
Okay.
basically 9 months. 9 months.
Nice.
Each of the levels, A is 132 lessons, B, C, D, E are 140 lessons. Most schools about 180 days, so you still have extra days in there to goof around. F is, I think, 150 days, and G and H are like 130. So
And
they're all
the lessons coincide, whereas like you feel like one lesson can be done in a day.
correct.
Okay.
Right. But having said that, I don't know your daughters.
Right.
So, and so that's where you've got the science of teaching the science of teaching math and the art of teaching. Because the science says, you have to have, the right emotions, you want to attach the right emotions, you need to know what the numbers mean, I mean, blah, blah, blah. But the art is, I haven't met your 8-year-old. I haven't met your 11-year-old. Maybe your 8-year-old has ADHD and we're not sitting still for 30 minutes. Okay,
Mm,
then you might want to do it morning and night, or maybe you do it 6 days a week. You do half lessons 6 days a week all year round. So
nice.
it
But
really depends. There's not, here's the answer, thou shalt do the following. It's tell me about your kid.
okay. I was gonna say, is it curated? Can it be curated to fit just the individual child? Or is that what the tutoring, like the tutoring offers more of
The
that?
tutoring is for a child who's 2 years or more behind where they should be.
Okay.
And then how you do each lesson kind of more depends upon the child, the parent, the environment, the needs, the interest. I mean, there's so many factors. And that's one thing that we can help you out with. You call our customer service people, and we're not like, oh, shoot, we talked to Jay last week. We can't talk to him again. If you want to call me every day, then so be it. We
And
will
that's what
talk
I was
to
gonna
you every
ask.
day.
Was there support offered
Yes,
with
we will
this?
support you.
Okay.
We also have something called overview videos. And what they are, and these are just in the RightStart Math program. They're not in the tutoring program. They're just in the RightStart Math. And what that does is we made little videos that talk to the parent. You can't give it to the child because it's not teaching it. It's more telling you, okay, Jay, here's the deal. We're going to do this, this, this. This is why we're doing this. When it asks for this appendix page, it's in the back of the book. So it's kind of like having a best friend coming in going, we totally got you. And we do
Okay.
that every 4 lessons. So each video is 4 lessons. And that's A through F that we have that available. So we will help you with the videos. We will help you one-on-one. Sometimes people have difficulties reading the game instructions and they just get all melty and they just, I can't do this. We have, for a small subscription fee, we have instructions for all the games in the RightStart Math program available on Vimeo.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And that's one thing where you could say the kids, okay, go find your game, read the instructions or listen to the instructions and go do it.
Nice.
And that's fine.
Yes. So the support is definitely there.
Absolutely. Yep. Because we
Lovely.
want these kids to be successful. We want you, the parent, to be successful. So what can we do to help you? And if there's something we aren't doing, we'll change it because we want this
Indeed.
to be a success. We're not like, oh, wow, too bad it's you. No, it's a case of, okay, we need to do this. We need to change this. Let's do this. So we're constantly trying to adapt to make this as easy as possible for the users, which is the
Gotcha.
parent and the child. But we want this to be a success.
Okay. Cool. I love that. I love the support
Yeah.
that's offered because we started out talking
Yep.
about just the relationship people have with, certain subjects. And it's wild, don't you know, like how people say, okay, if you're good in reading, you're not good in math, or if you're good in like math and history, I mean, not math and history, math and science go together, and
Right.
reading and history go together. So it's
Right.
like it's already a division. And even I talk to some parents and they'll be like, oh yeah, no, I have this, yeah, I have this side, and then he has that side. So it's like oh, we know we balance each other out, but you can
Right.
have it all. You can have
Yes,
it
you can
all.
have it all. And the thing is everybody has a math part of their brain. Unless there's some brain damage going on, everybody has the math part of their brain.
Which is the
All humans
logic,
do. And they,
the
pardon me?
logical reasoning.
Yes. Well, it's actually where all the math is done in your brain. Now, some people may not quite sure how to access it because
Hmm.
they've been taught poorly or they haven't been taught or that they're missing a piece. But everybody has that ability. So it's not a
Gotcha.
case of I can't do math. It's I like you said, I didn't have good instruction or I had some bad experiences with it or whatever it is, but everyone has that ability. We just need to
Yeah.
make sure that we are giving it to our children. One quick side note, I was saying about how there's the science of teaching math, and there's the art of teaching math. One of the science things, and this is a note, and I know some people are going to be cringing when they hear this, but if a mother tells her daughter, I'm bad at math. So I, the mom, say, I'm bad at math. I'm not good at it. The daughter's grades, or not grades, but her daughter's skills will immediately drop
Hmm.
because usually little girls are identifying with mom. If mom's
Indeed.
not good in math, they're not going to be good in math. But ironically, it doesn't happen the same with boys. If dad says it or if mom says it to boys, boys are like, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing, whatever. So,
That is
so
it. That's interesting. But
yes,
that's why I watch my verbiage with my girls. I don't say I'm
good.
not good at math. I don't favor math. Like it's not
Right,
a favorite subject
right,
for me.
right.
However, I feel, I'm a Libra. I feel like I'm good at everything. So I would never.
Yes. Well, and the other thing
However,
too is if somebody listening is like, oh, but I've got to tell somebody I'm not good at math. Fine, go tell your husband, go tell your mom, tell your sister, tell some, but don't tell your daughters.
yes. Yeah,
If
no.
anything, fake it. Oh, it's math time. Yay. And
Right?
in your head, you're going, ooh. But but don't share that with the kids. Don't taint it. It's like if I'm afraid of spiders, every time I see one, I run screaming from one. What are my kids going to do? Of course they're going to run screaming when they see a spider.
Indeed.
Mama does. So of course they're going to,
Yes.
so it's kind of the same thing. So those of you that have said something in front of especially your daughters, just stop.
Right.
You don't need to fake it going, "Oh, I love math. This will be great." Just quit. Quit talking
Don't
negative
say it. I
about it.
know. Don't say anything
Yeah.
about it. And I
Yeah.
love that you use the spider analogy because that is something that I over like bugs in
Yeah.
general. When I
Yeah.
had my first, I said I was conscious enough to say I don't want her to be afraid of bugs.
Yeah.
And so I had to overcome a lot of fear in myself, honey. Okay. And now you would never know.
Yeah. I
Um,
am totally
and
the same.
she plays with bugs now. Okay. That's how
Ooh,
good I was at
yeah.
it. Okay. She
You are
plays with
very good
bugs.
at it.
What? So good.
Yeah.
So I totally receive all that you're saying, and I will definitely watch what I say about math in front of my girls because they do want to be
Yeah.
little mini versions of me, even though I
Yes. And
encourage
they
them to be
do.
better,
Yeah.
always. But yes, that is definitely something
Yeah.
to always be mindful of.
Good. Good. Yeah.
Yes,
No,
yes.
math to me is just such a joy. It's such a there's so many cool things in math, and some people are going, "What did you just say?" No, there really, really is. There's so many cool things. I love teaching our levels G and H, which is our middle school, because A through F, right, start math, A through F teaches you addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, fractions, decimals, percents, blah, blah, blah. But then G and H takes all that elementary stuff, and now we're going to play with it.
Mm.
And do they play and have fun? And I love teaching these kids because sometimes they're coming in with attitudes, they're coming in with all sorts of stuff. And by the time we get done, even with 1 year, you can just see them going, "Ooh, this is fun. I really liked when we did that. And don't you love the Fibonacci sequence? Don't you love this? Don't you love that?" It's like, yes, that's what we
So where
need
are
to.
you teaching this at?
We have an
Oh,
online course
okay.
for G and H. Yep. Yep.
Okay,
We
just for
limit
G
it
and
to
H.
For G and H. Yep. So that's our
Okay.
middle school program. And when you're done with H, you're ready for high school algebra. We will limit our classes to no more than 15 children,
Mm.
15 students, because we want to make sure that everyone's getting the needs that they have, that they're getting met. There's been times where we've had to open up other classes because they've been full. Other times they're fine. So, like I said, we make it fit, but we make sure the kids understand what they're doing so that they can learn to love it and work with it instead of just being something they're memorizing.
Indeed. Yes. So y'all have the curriculum, you have the tutoring, and you have the online classes.
Yes. Yep.
Or did I miss anything? Or is it something else you
No,
want to
that's
throw out
that's a good
there?
summary. Yeah, that's a
That's a
good
good
summary.
summary.
Yep.
Where do we
Yep.
find Right Start Math?
Yep. Pardon me? Say it
Where do
again.
we find Right Start Math?
Where do we find it? Very clever, rightstartmath.com. Huh. Yep. And it's RIGHT startmath.com. You can find out more information on the website, and then you can go and order what you need. Again, if you can take the placement test, let us know what we can do to help you to make sure you're in the right spot or it's fitting the needs that you have. Again, even if it's just getting the card games, there's a whole section on the website talking about the card games, give you some of the samples to them. If you go on our blog page, again, rightstartmath.com, you go to our blog, we have lots of different card games and different comments. There's a series that I'm starting to work with again. It's called Dr. Cotter on. So it's Dr. Cotter on counting, Dr. Cotter on addition, Dr. Cotter on multiplication, Dr. Cotter on fractions, Dr. Cotter on, whatever the topic is, geometry. And it's a neat series, and I'm looking at changing some stuff with that. But like I said, there's just a wealth of information on the website.
Okay, nice. Yes, and that link will be available in the description as well. Before I let you go, Kathleen, can you give parents three things they should consider when approaching teaching math? Three things. If they don't take anything away from this lovely math conversation we've had, what's three things you want them to leave with?
Ooh, nothing like putting me on the spot. Well, I would say the first thing is you need math, reading, and morals. I think that is critical. Number two, kind of like we said, watch what you're saying about math because that is going to affect your children. And number three, find a curriculum, find an approach that isn't just memorize. Here's the rule, go do it 100 times. All right, here's the next rule. You want them to understand it, to see it, to work with it, to have it kind of be part of their DNA. And that's where we have the games in there. But help your children love math, or maybe not. Okay, maybe they don't love it, but they don't hate it. Maybe they like
Right.
it. Maybe it's okay. But get them to the point where it's something that they can use and build on, because so much in our world that we're looking, especially for future careers, needs math. And if your child
Indeed.
doesn't have a solid math understanding, they're going to be handicapped. And
Mm,
that's not what I want for my children. It's not what I want for my grandchildren. It's not what I want for your children. It's not what I want for your girls, Jay. I want them to
thank
be
you.
everything they want to be. So, how can I help you? Whether it's pieces or the whole curriculum or the tutoring, what can we do to help your kids be the absolute best that they will be?
Indeed. Parents, the support is there. I know I joke all the time up here about having a conversation with parents that are transitioning or just thinking about homeschooling in general. And their child's like 4 or 5, and they're already thinking about, well, I can't teach calculus. And I'm like, hey, like we don't have to go there, okay? Like
No,
you don't have to jump up that far ahead, but understanding, and that's why this platform is this platform, that there are resources available to ensure that you are able to teach your child that. And if you cannot teach them yourself, you have online services, you have
yeah,
tutoring services, you have programs that will definitely ensure that your child is well supported as well as you, and you can sit down and learn with them. Because I tell them all the time, as far as math go, a lot of the concepts I will be relearning, and maybe it'll stick this time a little better than it
right.
did the first
Yep.
time around. But knowing that you do not have to be afraid of math in general, because I feel like that's that's a thing. It's a thing.
Well,
Get
and
to the
and
root of the trauma.
yes, yes. Well, and I think one thing, when you've got someone who's got a 4 and 5 year old and they're thinking about possibly homeschooling and freaking out, I can't teach calculus. You're not. You're just in kindergarten. And most of us have got made it through kindergarten just fine. So you're just teaching one thing. You're just teaching 1 year. You don't have to think about the next year. You don't have to think about second grade, fourth
Yes.
grade, eighth grade. You're just teaching kindergarten. Then that summer, you make a decision. Was this good? What was my successes? How can I do something better? I'm going to do first grade. I can't teach calculus. No, no, no. You're just
You're doing first
grade.
grade.
You're just doing first grade. So take it 1 year at a time. And if that's too much, take it 6 months at a time. I'll
Mm-hmm.
homeschool them until January and then maybe think about putting them in school. No,
Yeah.
we did so good. I can rock this. I can do it. Because otherwise, if you look at the whole thing, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? Oh, fuck. But but if you think, okay, if I just take a bite here and a bite here and a bite here and a bite here, then you can do it.
Yes,
So you
indeed.
guys got this. You've got this. Nobody loves your kids like you love your kids. Nobody can do a better job than you.
Ooh.
And you know what's best for your kids.
Hey, Kathleen don't said it. I don't even have to say anything else besides homeschool your kids.
Yep. Homeschool